Students, let's have a look of the elbow joint. This is elbow joint. Here we have elbow joint and this is my elbow. This is my elbow and here I have elbow joint between humerus, radius and ulna. Same is the case here that we have elbow joint here between humerus. This is humerus bone and this is ulna that faces medially and this is radius bone. Between these three bones we have here elbow joint. This is hole. This is elbow joint. Now talk about elbow joint in detail. What is elbow joint? Elbow joint is a hinge variety of synovial joint between lower end of humerus. This is lower end of humerus bone and the upper ends of radius and ulna bones. This is ulna bone. Here this is ulna bone and the upper end of ulna and the upper end of radius contribute in the formation of elbow joint with the lower end of humerus bone. This hole is the humerus bone, bone of our arm. Okay. Elbow joint is the term used for humeroradial. This one is humerus and this one is radius. Elbow joint is the term used for humeroradial and the humero-ulnar joints. The term elbow complex also includes the superior radio-ulnar joints. This is ulna and this is radius. Here we have superior radio-ulnar joint between radius and ulna, and this superior radio-ulnar joint is also included in the elbow joint. Now talk about the articular surfaces, the upper articular surfaces and the lower articular surfaces. First of all, talk about the upper articular surfaces, the capsulum and the trochlea of humerus. Here laterally we have capsulum and medially we have trochlea of humerus. This one is the trochlea of humerus. The coronoid fossa, this one is the coronoid fossa. Medially above the trochlea we have here, you can see it is coronoid fossa, and here we have radial fossa. Above the capsulum we have radial fossa where the head of the radius fits during the flexion of the elbow joint. This one is the coronoid fossa. Coronoid fossa lies just above the trochlea and is designed in a manner that the coronoid process of ulna fits into it in extreme flexion. Here, this one is the coronoid process of ulna. It fits into this coronoid fossa during the extreme flexion. Similarly, the radial fossa lies above the capsulum. This one is capsulum and here lies the radial fossa. Just above the capsulum allows for radial head fitting in the radial fossa in extreme flexion. This one is the head of the radius which fits into this radial fossa during the extreme flexion. Flexion is movement when these two bones comes into extreme contact like this. Now talk about the lower articular surfaces. The upper surface of head of radius articulates with the capitulum. This one is the head of radius and this one is capsulum. The head of radius articulates with the capsulum. The trochlear notch of ulna, this one hole is the trochlear notch of ulna. Here it is behind the bone, that is trochlea. The trochlear notch of ulna articulates with the trochlea of humerus. This is the trochlea of humerus. The elbow joint is continuous with the superior radio-ulnar joint. Here we have a joint called superior radio-ulnar joint between the radius and the ulna. And the elbow joint is continuous with the superior radio-ulnar joint. The humeroradial and the humero-ulnar and the superior radio-ulnar joints are together known as cubital articulations. These three are called cubital articulations. Now talk about the ligaments of elbow joint. This is elbow joint and now talk about its ligaments. First of all, we will talk about the ulnar collateral ligament which is present on ulnar side. This one is the ulnar side, medial side. On medial side we have ulnar collateral ligament. Ulnar collateral ligament is triangular in shape. You can see that this is ligament represented in white. This is ulnar collateral ligament. It is triangular in shape. It has three edges. Its apex is attached to the median epicondyle of humerus. This one is the median epicondyle of humerus and here we have attachment of its apex and its base is attached to the ulna. This bone is the ulna bone and this hole is the base of this ligament. Its base is attached to the ulna bone and the ligament has thick anterior and posterior bands. This one is its anterior band and this one is its posterior band which is present posteriorly. It has thick anterior and posterior bands. These are attached below to the coronoid process and the olecranon process. This one is the coronoid process of ulna and this one posteriorly, this is the olecranon process of ulna, and the anterior band is attached superiorly to the median epicondyle and inferiorly to the coronoid process, and the thick posterior band is attached superiorly to the median epicondyle and inferiorly to the olecranon process of ulna. The lower ends are joined to each other by an oblique band which gives attachment to the thinner intermediate fibers of the ligament. This one is the oblique band which joins the lower ends of this anterior and posterior thick ligaments. The ligament is crossed by the ulnar nerve and it gives origin to the flexor digitorum superficialis. And we know that behind this one is the median epicondyle, and behind this median epicondyle we have passage of ulnar nerve. So we can say that ulnar nerve crosses this joint, and we know that this is median epicondyle, and median epicondyle is the origin of common flexor muscles. So we can say that it gives origin to the flexor digitorum superficialis. It is closely related to the flexor carpi ulnaris and the triceps brachii. And here we have, on the olecranon process, we have the insertion of triceps brachii muscles. Now talk about the radial collateral ligament, which is present on this radial side or the lateral side. First of all, before discussing radial collateral ligament, we should need to know about what is annular ligament. This is the annular ligament. This hole from here to here we have annular ligament which covers the head of the radius and the neck of the radius. And this annular ligament holds the head of the radius in the radial notch of ulna, forming the proximal radio-ulnar joint and permitting the pronation and supination of forearm. And now discuss about radial collateral ligament. Radial collateral ligament is attached proximally to the lateral epicondyle of humerus, and distally it fuses with this annular ligament of proximal radio-ulnar joint. This hole, this is radial collateral ligament which is fan shaped. Now talk about the capsular ligament or joint capsule of the elbow joint. This whole white is representation of the joint capsule. It is made of fibers, and this joint capsule is fibrous. And if we talk about its attachments and superior attachments and the inferior attachments, first of all we talk about its superior attachments. Superiorly it is attached to the lower end of the humerus. This hole is the humerus, and here we have lower end of the humerus which is intracapsular, which is present inside this capsule. This one is the capsulum of humerus, and this one is trochlea, and here we have radial fossa, and here we have coronoid fossa, and here on posterior side of humerus at the lower end we have olecranon fossa. These olecranon fossa, coronoid fossa, radial fossa, capsulum and trochlea are all intracapsular. Now talk about its inferior attachments. Inferiorly it is attached to the trochlear notch of ulna. Here we have trochlear notch of ulna, and it is attached to the trochlear notch of ulna except laterally. Laterally here inside it, laterally this capsule is not attached to the ulna. Inferolaterally, if we talk about its lateral side, inferolaterally it is attached to the annular ligament of superior radio-ulnar joint. On its anterior side we have synovial membrane which lines this capsular ligament. Now talk about the blood supply of elbow joint. Its blood supply is anastomosis around the elbow joint, and its nerve supply is by ulnar nerve. Here we have ulnar nerve on median side, and median nerve and radial nerve and the musculocutaneous nerve. 4 nerves supply this joint, and movements are flexion and extension. This position is extension if we bring this part upward, and this will be flexion. Now talk about what is carrying angle. This one is humerus, and here we have this one. Here we have the long axis of humerus. This one is the long axis of humerus, and this one is extended elbow, and this one is ulna. In extended elbow, the long axis of humerus makes an angle. Here you can see we have an angle between the long axis of humerus and the ulna. This angle is called carrying angle, and this angle is usually 10 to 15 degree in males and more than 15 degree in females. Here you can see that this one is the extended elbow, and this one is humerus, and here we have long axis of humerus, and here we have ulna. Between the long axis of humerus and the ulna we have an angle that is called carrying angle, and it is more than 15 in case of a female. And this carrying angle disappears when the arm is pronated. This carrying angle is disappeared.